What was Marcus Aurelius' legacy? Marcus Aurelius' career was more or less a failure, and his death marked the end of the Pax Romana. Although his political impact was negative, Marcus Aurelius' most important legacy is his contribution to philosophy. First, he talked about living the good life. Second, the pursuit of justice. And third, the purpose of piety. First of all, Marcus Aurelius teaches us to live the good life. His three ideas were to live stoically, with stoicism, without impressions and according to nature. Living stoically means the endurance of pain and hardship without display of feelings and without complaint. But it's less about endurance and more about love. It's not that you just endure the bad, but you love the world as it is, and not as you wish it were. It also argues that that extending life is futile. Aurelius said that the length of life did not matter, but instead the act of living it. Stoicism claims that that is the natural pattern. That there is a natural pattern to life, and that it repeats. This is also supported by the Bible. Ecclesiastes 1:9 says, quote, "What has been will be again, and what has been done will be done again," unquote. In a similar vein, our phrases, there is nothing new under the sun, and history repeats itself. He also thought that no matter the length of life, the loss is still the same, the loss of the present. So, living a natural life means loving that you are only temporarily alive. Loving the fact that you are only temporarily alive. He claimed that this was better than trying to figure out who you really are and then continue there without distraction. He claimed that it was better to figure out who you really are and then continue there without distractions of the world. He thought that these were the best ways to happiness and is what happens, and that it's what happens naturally. It's true in Stoicism too. However, that doesn't mean that pleasure. It's also true that it is not true that pleasure is good and that pain is bad. Instead, these are signals of what to or to not change. Using them interchangeably leads to an unbalanced, unhappy life. He also believed that it was good to remove outside influence for real wisdom. Aurelius argued that the best way to do so was breaking things down into their components. He would use food, seafood as animal corpses. The finest of wines were just reduced grape juice, and so on and so forth. He thought that the ability to do so was one of the greatest marvels of the human brain. Instead of stripping value, he looked past what the seeming value was to the cosmic value. He also believed that there was a specific right time for everything. Secondly, Marcus Aurelius argued that just the actions are derived from thinking in terms of the collective rather than the individual, which was also true of most Romans. One way of loving the cosmopolis, Aurelius teaches us to be concerned with only two things: acting justly and loving our lot in life. He fleshes out acting justly in lumps of acting communally, in terms of acting communally, and add that whenever one lives, one should live as a citizen of the cosmic city. He goes on to further clarify this. He appeals to the idea that the cosmos is a city. It allows him to say that we should do well for all humanity. we each have citizens' duty to contribute to the welfare of the whole community. However, he also says the best way to do this is indifference, not virtue. It's not that we shouldn't help others, just that what we think is helping is actually unlikely to benefit in the end. Aurelius says that we must do what follows from constitution and communal follows from the constitution and communal. I can't read my writing off. It comes from the rational faculty, which is perfected in justice. Marcus simply denies conflict between good for the individual and good for the community. Third, Marcus Aurelius argues for the importance of piety, from primarily learning from others and providence naturalism. Quote, for lack of guidance, a nation falls, but victory is won through many advisors, unquote, says Proverbs 11:14. Marcus Aurelius learned from those around him. From his adopted father, compassion, hard work, persistence, and the sense of who to listen to, and much more. From Maximus, he learned the importance of staying on the right path. From Sextus, how to get along with others. From Rusticus, how to read attentively. From his first teacher, how to do his own work. He believed that national nature goes on its way well when there are no sense that are false or unclear. He said that the key idea in piety is that the cosmos as a whole is providentially designed, and so it's as good as possible. So the parts are too. So his attitude should be one for acceptance. So he thought that his desire led to impiety, maybe because he desired what was wrong. He recommends that the pious accept whatever happens. In one passage, he gives his atoms or providence alternatives in the interest of ethical opinions. He also points out the uselessness of what many value. So, although Marcus Aurelius' career as a politician may have been unsuccessful and overall negative for the Roman Empire, he left a strong impact on philosophy through his ideas on, first, living the good life, second, the pursuit of justice, and third, the purpose of piety. Thank you.